Hi, friends. Today I wanted to share something that's been on my heart and it revolves around a phrase. And I know we've all heard this phrase, beauty from ashes or ashes for beauty, this concept of how ashes and beauty can somehow go together. And I know I've heard cultural references, even biblical references, and maybe like stuff in songs and movies, all these things, but it never really resonated the same until walking through something really difficult. And I don't know about you, like when I hear the phrase beauty for ashes, it's not poetic to me anymore. It actually represents a lot of pain. It's a phrase that represents a lot of pain for me. Yes, I guess it's beautiful in its own poetic way, but for me, after experiencing loss almost 4 months ago, it's still a little bit of a raw phrase, and it still revolves around a lot of pain. And for me, my pain revolves around walking through a season that felt like a valley of just watching someone I love suffer through a horrible disease and then saying goodbye. And I don't know about you, like, that doesn't feel pretty. It doesn't feel beautiful. And I had to really kind of think, okay, what is that saying? What is that saying? Because I don't think it's God trying to go, hey, I don't see your pain, or I'm trying to say your pain is something it's not. If anything, it's actually, when you look at where this concept is talked about in the Bible, there's like an exchange. But I'd like to kind of tell you about my journey of how I got there. This phrase for me came up when I was driving in the car. And I know you're probably going to think I'm going to give you some super spiritual answer. And I'm sorry, I'm probably going to disappoint you. God can talk to you in all different random ways. Sorry if y'all are expecting me to say I was listening to this like really awesome worship song, which I'm all for. I love getting some good worship on in the car, okay? Seriously, like me and Jesus, we hang out in the car, okay? And then I don't have to worry about if anyone likes my singing or not or anything like that. But I was actually on a random playlist on my Amazon Music, and this song came up. And it was actually by Celine Dion, of all people, which, funny enough, I grew up loving Celine Dion with my cousin, and she's one of like the best people in the whole wide world. And she's actually been an intricate part of help me getting through this season. And I had to call her after finding this song that was by Celine Dion, because I was like, I've never heard of this. I had to call her and say, did you hear about it? Warning, it made me really, really cry. Because it was a song called Ashes. And I was like, okay, I gotta listen to this song, because I was driving the car, and the more I heard each line of each lyric, I started to just cry. And I'd like to tell you, if you're grieving and you have that happen, it's okay. It doesn't matter if the car next to you knows what's going on or even thinks you're weird. You go be weird, because you're working out your stuff, okay? So go be weird. No one cares. You're probably never going to see them ever again. So don't worry about what other people think. You just work on getting whatever you need internally out. For me, I was driving back into town and got a Celine Dion song that smacked me in the face. So I'm going to tell you some of the lyrics so you kind of know where I'm going with this whole thing. And I'm going to read them so I don't butcher anything. Okay, if y'all want to Google this or listen to it later, I want to give a disclaimer, okay? It's off of a soundtrack, off of a movie. I did not watch that movie, so don't give me any sassy comments that are like, Tamara, you going and watching Deadpool? No, I did not watch Deadpool 2. I did not. No, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but no, I didn't. Okay, so I'm not endorsing the movie. I'm just talking about the song. But apparently it was on a soundtrack, and it's actually a really good song for where I was at that moment. So here's the lyrics. What's left to say? These prayers aren't working anymore. Every word shot down in flames. I'm just going to pause there for a sec. that felt really real to me because I had been asking God for a lot of things during the season of when I was watching my husband suffer. And it was hard because I didn't feel like certain things were being answered. To give him credit, there were a lot of wonderful prayers that were also answered in that time, just not the loud big thing. So when I read these random lyrics, or I heard these and I hear them and listening, my pain, I was like, oh yeah, I feel that deep down. Sometimes that's just the human part of us, but I'm going to be vulnerable and be like, that's my human part. Sometimes I had to work through the fact, like, is God listening? Well, I know biblically the answer is yes. He is our ever-present help in our time of need. But I didn't always understand the why of why he was doing these things, but not this. So I'll continue on with the song. What's left to do with these broken pieces on the floor? I felt like that. I'm losing my voice calling on you. Because I've been shaking. I've been bending backwards till I'm broke. Watching all these dreams go up in smoke. Here the chorus is, let beauty come out of ashes. Let beauty come out of ashes. And when I pray to God, all I ask is, can beauty come out of ashes? Can you use these tears to put out the fires in my soul? 'Cause I need you here. I've been shaking. I've been bending backwards till I'm broke, watching all these dreams go up in smoke. Let beauty come out of ashes. Let beauty come out of ashes. And when I pray to God, all I ask is, can beauty come out of ashes? Can beauty come out of ashes? And I just had to kind of process all that and take that in. And it still sometimes makes me emotional now, almost 4 months later, because on occasion I have had to ask that that question, can beauty come out of ashes? And I know the answer biblically is yes. I think the question isn't whether God can, it's do I believe it? There's plenty of ways that God waits for people to partner with him. And a lot of it involves our heart posture and what we're willing to hope for and what we're willing to believe in. And I'm not gonna lie, this is it. It's been, some days were tough. You know, some days you're like, gosh, that was so bad. That marked me, and I'm working on it, unmarking me in a way that it affects my faith and my hope. And I've been getting better and all that. But grace to you if it's hard. There's been moments it's been hard on me too. Because when you watch someone suffer and you watch them have a very tragic, traumatic end, I basically knew my husband was bleeding to death. And I felt helpless. I knew it was horrible to watch this whole thing happen. And I'm like, how can good come of this horrible thing? How? Because I don't know if I can do it. And that's where I have to go, okay, God, this is really, really painful. What I went through was really, really painful. I need you to do something with it. I need you to make it somehow turn these ashes into something beautiful. And I don't think he's trying to say what we went through wasn't hard by that phrase. I don't think he's trying to take away from our reality of how hard it was for us by saying he's going to make something beautiful out of it. If anything, he's identifying how horrible it was, especially after I look at Isaiah 61. That really helped me go, like, God's not trying to pretend what you went through was something different and masquerade it with this happy label. No, he's actually saying, I see how bad this was, and we're going to do something with this. And only I can do it. So I'd like to look at Isaiah 61. Now, okay, there's so much significance to this chapter, and so many amazing people have talked on it. If you want to know all the context of what's going on, I highly encourage you to seek that out. I'm just me, Tamara, sharing on one verse, but I also believe in context. So, read the whole thing, the whole chapter, and get some context of what's going on. But I'm going to zoom in on verse 3 because it talks about beauty and ashes. And this is conveying the heart of what the Messiah, the Savior, will do in the Old Testament. It says, to console those who mourn in Zion, to give unto them beauty for ashes. And I looked at ashes specifically. I like to look at, I love Blue Letter Bible. If you've never used it, it's great. It's very simple. It's great to look at like Hebrew and Greek and figure out how these words are translated into what we read today. And ashes means obviously ashes, but it also means something that's worthless, like dust and dirt. And that speaks to me because when you feel like everything's been burnt and all you have left is a pile of ashes, you're like, I can't do anything with this. If a house burns down, you can't take that pile and mold new walls. It's worthless. You have to, that land has to be transformed with a new vision and a new purpose. And you might need a new architect to come in and help you transform that lot, because you can't rebuild a solid structure with those ashes. So it's ironically, we can't do much with those ashes. We actually have to give them over to someone who can. And I think what's beautiful in Isaiah 61:3, it is showing an exchange that God's going to give us beauty for ashes. He's going to give us something valuable for what is on face value doesn't have a lot of value. It's just like a pile of dust and ashes and dirt. I can't go buy anything at the store with that. He's going, I'm going to give you something beautiful. When you look at that word beauty, it shows this like adornment, ornamental, like what I will put on you, what you can wear on your head. And, it could, like, it's been used at different times, like as like a headdress or an ornament or a tiara, like a crown concept, turban. But the point is, it's something that is beautiful that goes on you. And I was starting to think, what you wear on your head can really signify what you identify with and the authority you walk in. Like, think of a crown, right? If someone were to walk in with some crown jewel from England on their head, you would notice it. It would represent something. When you're adorned with something, when you're wearing something, it's saying something about you. And I feel like there's this beautiful invitation and this beautiful exchange where God is going, I want to take what was burnt into ashes and make something beautiful of it. And I don't want you to identify with the ashes forever. There's many times in the Bible where sackcloth and ashes and grief are mentioned. And they were probably for a really good reason if you look at them all. But I don't think it was meant to be a lifelong event. If you even look at those things, it's not meant for us to make grief a lifelong identity. And this is something I'm working on myself. While, yes, I am a widow, I can't let that be the sum of my identity. I'm still a mom to 2 amazing kids. And I need to give them the full identity God has for me, not just an identity based on loss. And the only way I can pull that off with any level of grace, which, sorry kids, there's some days I'm better than others, is to go, God, this is who you say I am. I will adorn myself and wear those things on me, and I will identify with them. And I want to be noticed for that. I want to be known for who God is in me and my heart to help others versus just a horrific event in my life. And I want to mourn well, grieve well, process well, heal well. But I want to be adorned in the end through this process with what God says about me, and not wear pain on me all the time, because pain is heavy. And if we don't deal with pain well, it'll come up in other relationships, other trials. It squirts out like really bad if you don't deal with pain. And I'm not saying I'm going to be perfect at this, but I know that we have to deal with pain well. And if that means you need to get counseling or talk to someone or work through some stuff, whatever it looks like for you, it's okay. If you've got pain, that's normal. We just have to be purposeful with dealing with it and intentional. And that's really one of the big things I'm coming on today is be like, hey, you figure out what you need. Maybe that's reading a book. Maybe that's talking to someone. But whatever it is, do it, because pain can be really costly if we carry it inappropriately. I looked at and I found this one quote by Brene Brown that said, pain that won't be transformed will always be transmitted. So we have to transform our pain into something else so it doesn't squirt out in a different area of our life. Pain that won't be transformed will always be transmitted. So I take that like, oh, booger. Okay, whew. I probably haven't been very good at that the past few months. I've got to work on handling my pain with God well and asking for help when I need it, because we all do when we're hurting and we're grieving. But I know we have to find a way to transform our pain. And that's the irony of how this all connects back to Isaiah 61:3. God is offering us a transformation process through that beautiful exchange of beauty for ashes. So I just want to encourage you, if you've got a big pile of ashes, it's okay. I had my pile too, and I'm working on giving more and more and more of it to God. Just know you're not alone. And if you cry some days, it's okay. If you find it easier to give him more on some days than the other, grace to you. It's okay. You may not even understand why you cry more on certain days than others, and that's okay too. Just make sure you give it to him regardless. That's the point. It's just not to carry it all yourself. And I think the more and more we do that, we find that our tears transform and take different shape and have different frequency. I know for me, sometimes when I go to church, I cry more, which you should be like, oh, Tamara, is your church encouraging? You okay? I'm like, yes, okay. What it is a lot of times when we're singing songs in church, some of them will have references to heaven. Like, we'll join in with all of heaven singing, or it'll sound very like hymn-like, something that might be like, I exalt thee, or maybe referencing God in heaven in some lyric that makes me visualize, and I see, like, what would it be like to have everybody in heaven singing and worshiping God? And I realize when we have those moments on earth where we're essentially mirroring what they're doing there, that's the closest I'll ever be to heaven till I'm there. And that's the closest I will ever feel to my husband who passed away. For the rest of my life, we'll be in that type of moment when we have our own version of heaven meets earth, where we're both doing the same thing at the same time. And yeah, it gets me emotional. Like, it's a little hard for me to talk about it because it sandwiches the loss with a joy. And I can turn in that moment what I miss into I'm happy for him. And we're doing the same thing at the same time. And I find weird comfort in that space. That even if I don't get to talk to him ever again, I don't get to hang out with him ever again. But when we both are worshiping God at the same time, you almost feel like this heart posture that is mirroring each other. And you're like, wow, in a weird way, I kind of feel close in that moment. I'm not saying that he's there with me or anything like that. I'm not suggesting that. What I am saying is we can feel connected to God in miraculous ways, in moments that remind us of our loved ones and remind us that they're okay. And because they are. If you've accepted Jesus and you go to heaven, you're going to have the best time. It's awesome. If the whole goal of the gospel is for us to get there, then we have to believe them going there is a good thing. So give yourself grace for the days you have to process more. Give yourself grace if a random song hits you in the car and makes you want to cry. Give yourself grace if it takes you a while to read something or talk to someone or work something out. It's okay. Just get to where you need to go and don't stop trying. Because little by little, the more and more we heal, the more and more we give to God, it will get better. And it'll get easier to go, yes, God, you can make beauty from ashes.